Welcome, everybody. Good evening and to our April the 8th council meeting. As you'll notice, Mayor Frank Landry's not here. He's someplace where there's not as much snow as there is here tonight. So I'll be taking his place for tonight. And we'll ask our deputy clerk to open our meeting, please.
Be it resolved that this regular meeting now open at 6 p.m. Moved by Councillor Bajelli, second by Councillor Shane.
All in favor? Carried. Any opening remarks? Seeing none, we'll go to the adoption of the agenda, please.
Be it resolved that the agenda be approved as amended. Moved by Councillor Shane, seconded by Councillor Bajelli.
Any questions? All in favor? Carried. And any disclosure of pecuniary interests or nature thereof? Seeing none. No delegations or presentations. We'll move to the adoption of the minutes of previous meetings.
Be it resolved that the following minutes be approved as presented. Regular meeting, March 25th, special meeting, March 26th. Moved by Councillor Bajelli, seconded by Councillor McDonald.
Any questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor? Carried. Thank you. Moving into adoptions of minutes of committees and local boards.
The Council of the Township of North Stormont accept and approve the following committee minutes as presented. North Stormont Committee of Adjustment minutes of January 31st, 2025. South Nation Conservation Board minutes of February 20th, 2025. Moved by Councillor Shane, seconded by Councillor McDonald.
Any questions or comments? No. All in favor? Carried. And receiving of the monthly staff reports and recommendations.
Be it resolved that the following monthly reports be received by law enforcement, building, fire, recreation and facilities, public works, CAO. Moved by Councillor Bajelli, seconded by Councillor Shane.
Questions or comments? No, I've got a question on bylaw. So I like the report. So thank you for that. And you knew there would eventually be questions about the report. So there's one item in the report, one line item that's labeled inquiry, which to me seems kind of vague. And I didn't know whether or not that inquiry, because an inquiry just means a question, but there's a lot of other categories. And I didn't know whether the inquiry line might be able to be blown out into what's the inquiry about. It's about a third of the bylaw activities that are labeled as inquiry. And I think it would be more helpful rather than, or where possible, if it's an inquiry about a specific topic that's already covered in one of the areas, to know that it's in there. Any thoughts on that?
Through the chair. So the inquiries can vary. It's a bylaw question. It could be a zoning bylaw question. It's a question about any related bylaw. It's not a complaint per se. Sometimes they call to see what the bylaw stipulates, clarification on a bylaw, or anything to that effect, or if they have an inquiry about open air. So it's basically a question or a process. They're calling the office for something or another.
Okay.
A complaint is very separate from that. The complaint is we're filing the complaint. The inquiry may lead to a complaint, but in the meantime, that's what we're logging them in as, because we are on the phone. We can be on the phone for half an hour sometimes pending the query.
Okay. Would it be fair to say though that the inquiry is about one of the areas, even though it's not an event, it's about one of those areas?
Correct.
Okay. At some point we may want to know, just kind of as a leading indicator, what are people calling about? What are they questioning about, even though it may not turn into a specific ticket? So I'll leave it for that at this point, but just a thought.
Okay, thank you.
I had one other thing for Public Works as well. And I don't know whether somebody can speak to it, but there was discussion about 3 generators that were installed at the water treatment centers. And there was another aqua question I had as well, but I'm just wondering, now that that's done, what are the implications? Are everything's covered with from a generation perspective, generator?
Through the chair, that would be the ICIP funding, and that's just one portion of that. There'll be a number 3 well that's going to be dug as part of the ICIP funding that we received that is to be completed. But certainly the 3 generators being installed is a huge step forward in case we do have, with our significant weather today, if the power goes down, at least we can have the pumps running So that's a positive step forward.
That's great. That's good news. So thank you on that. There was one other aqua question as well in Finch where the system became hydraulically overloaded on March 16th and the 31st. Like, I wasn't sure what that meant, what the issue was. Is it likely to reoccur and how significant an issue being hydraulically overloaded?
Through the chair, I cannot respond to that inquiry. I did indicate to the Public Works Superintendent that he could refrain from attending today since he was out clearing snow today. But I can certainly bring that back and get a bit more clarification. So I can send that out to all of council tomorrow. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I didn't know whether it's an issue or not, and because it's with the water system, I just wanted to be sure. So thank you. If you could take that back, that'd be great. Unless there's any other questions, I'll call for the vote. All in favor of accepting the reports? Carried. Thank you. We move next into the Recreation Hall rental policy. Madam Deputy Clerk.
That the Council of the Township of North Stormont approves Report 10-2025 from the Director of Parks, Recreation and Facilities and adopts the new Recreation Hall rental policy to be passed by bylaw. Moved by Councillor McDonald, seconded by Councillor Shane.
Great. Any questions? Go ahead, Councillor Bajelli.
Just a comment, really. It's actually nice to see this all come to fruition as far as having a one-stop or one-shop fits all approach with the rec hall agreements. It's somewhere obviously a little more advanced in their agreements, and it's a good way for us to kind of, in the spirit of ARC, is sharing the best practices. And one of the easiest ways to do that is through policies and procedures. So something like a standardized agreement, I think will go a long way and will really benefit for the ease of use for the volunteers as well.
Great. Any comments? Mr. Director of Rec? Any comments?
No.
No? Okay.
It went good.
So
Something
everybody,
we're looking forward to put in force.
okay, is everybody on board? Like, I know you, as you mentioned, there was some struggles getting some of the schedules back. How are we dealing with that in the sense that if you, do we have a sense as to what we're asking people to step up to in terms of
Yes,
the
as
policy?
of to the chair, as of today, everything's finalized as far as schedules 8. So as soon as I do my training on Universe, we'll start putting them in the system, then train the volunteers in order to use this. So as far as soon as we transfer this to a PDF, we're ready to put everybody online.
Great. Thank you. I'll call for the vote. All in favor of accepting? Carried. Thank you. North Stormont Arena advertising.
That the Council of the Township of North Stormont accepts Report 11-2025 from the Director of Parks, Recreation and Facilities and approves the revised agreement for arena advertising. Moved by Councillor Shane, seconded by Councillor Bajelli.
Great. And I'll ask our rec director to give us a bit of background on this one as well, please.
Sure. Through the chair, our old sponsorship agreement and terms we had only was limited to advertisement signs of 4x8s and 2 places on the resurfacer and the overhead beams that was done during the construction. We have a potential to increase our revenues at the arena by adding some sponsorships, either to, I just lost it, to the boards or on ice, designated rooms, center ice logo. There's all kinds of potential to be done. So I made kind of a draft of what other rinks has as far as prices, as far as we had a 5-year term. They're long that we reduced it to a 2-year term. But if you had the 5 years, what we had for $1,000, it's $1,150 for a 5-year, but they're 2-year terms. So it's a small increase in advertisement. But we'll have the potential now with the live streaming, we'll have more people seeing their advertisements. So that's what I got prepared as discussion for council as far as rates or price. There's a question mark if there's a possibility of naming some dressing rooms. A lot of rinks who go to complex, they got such a room designated to somebody, and we have this option also to do that at the arena.
Any comments?
Just a way to increase our revenue to the arena.
Great. Councillor Bajelli.
Just a question, and just thinking about sponsorships and as we move forward, is there any thought as to limitations on who can actually be advertisers. Reason I ask is it's come up at other events and things like that, where let's say it's younger families and that, and you have for fun, say like a cannabis company or something like that, and they want to have a big advertisement on there. Is there any limitations on what or who can actually be advertised and who cannot?
Right now, there's none, but that'd be at the discretion of council when I do my final report. We can put exceptions like this if your council wishes to go that way. And this way, it's more family oriented.
Through the chair, I would support that statement. We would have to use our discretion and reasonableness to reflect what the community spirit and intent of these resources are. Certainly, I don't think there would be a champion for an alcoholic beverage or a cannabis shop. Not that there's anything illegal about it, but again, it doesn't reflect the community atmosphere that we're trying to generate with our public venues. So.
Yeah, I think thank you for bringing that up. I think it's a wise idea. So what would be the process, and would we take that away to suggest what the process would be to automatically accept certain categories and then have to bring back to council others that, or what do you suggest?
I would leave it a little bit open-ended. And again, this is just my suggestion. Certainly, the senior management would use their discretion. If we were to respectfully refuse a company or a brand, I would suggest we would take back a report each and every time we suggested not to provide an advertising space and allow council to endorse that. You reflect and are the representatives of the community. You should be the ones ultimately to make that decision. But we would make that initial decision to bring it to council for a final confirmation, if you will.
I guess I'm wondering, and I haven't looked at this aspect in the policy itself. Do we need a placeholder that states as much within that policy so that somebody doesn't come back and say, well, it's not in the policy? I'm just wondering whether or not we're leaving the door wide open, and now to start closing the door could actually put us into a more difficult position.
I believe we could leave ourselves open to more scrutiny if we try and isolate it to certain products. Who knows what could come up in the next 5 years that could either change in the community perspective or a new product that could come up that may not be family oriented. I think we should leave it to, again, a reasonable perspective. And then we would, of course, table it at council for full exposure to not just scrutiny from the council, but from the community. And we would make a decision from there.
Okay.
There wouldn't be much of a delay, in my opinion. If we refuse to post an advertisement, it would come back on the next council agenda. So in the worst case scenario would be July or potentially August or February, where there may be a 3 or 4 week delay, but I don't believe that is extraneous or I don't believe that would be an unreasonable wait time.
Okay, and I'm looking at the cancellation policy. In there, I'm just looking for an out that suggests, and it says that it's at our discretion to remove or destroy any advertisement. So I'm assuming that could also be applied to not putting it up in the first place. But any further comments or questions? Yep. Councilor McDonald?
Yeah, I like that you're looking for ways to make more revenue. I think it's great. Obviously, we all get to a point where we commit advertisements, but I don't think that's the case in Arena. You're used to walking in and seeing things sponsored. And I like your idea of having people, sometimes people want to put their name on a dressing room or a building or whatever. So I know in Miami where they play football, it's now the Pit Bull, Miami-Dade University Pit Bull Stadium, and he's got 2 years of his name. So it's a great way to make money. It costs us almost nothing. And I also like that you're looking at these ways to realize revenue in very simple ways. And I do agree that I think the cancellation policy, if we put up an advertisement even and the community reacted, we could then cancel and refund that agreement. And I don't think it would be too much harm. So it seems great. And thank you for realizing more revenue for our recreation.
And if I could just add, it is a modernized approach. I did want to indicate that the treasurer would like to make a statement.
Okay.
Sorry about that through you, the chair. We just have to make sure the addresses are correct on the form. It's still referencing 15 Union Street and our old mailing address. So we need that changed before council approves it. That's it. It's minor, but it needs to be changed.
Yeah, good catch on that one. And again, when I looked at the variance report as well, I can see the revenue going up in specifically for the arena. So again, great job. And I think this just will further the momentum that you've created there. So that's great. Thank you. If there's no other questions or comments, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Planning technician job description. Madam Deputy Clerk.
That the Council of the Township of North Stormont approves Report 03-2025 from the Planning Department to replace the junior planner position with the planning technician position and direct staff to proceed with advertising to fill the position. Moved by Councillor Bajelli, second by Councillor McDonald.
I'll ask the CAO to give a little bit of background on this one, please.
Certainly, and then Peter may inject if he deems appropriate. So as the report indicates, we did, or the CAO did go out on 2 separate occasions to try and solicit resumes from appropriate individuals. We tried to, or I tried to do this locally. We received 1 resume in a 2-week span. It did not meet the minimum threshold of the job description. We then went out for a secondary publication, which was 3 weeks, and we solicited interest through the OPPI, the Ontario Professional Planners Institute. We did get an additional 10 resumes. All of them were from the GTA except for 2. We did filter through those resumes. We did do interviews of the 3 interviews. None met our threshold. Both myself and Megan Benoit did the interview process. And after reviewing the scoring with the director, Peter Young, we felt that we needed to at least explore another approach. And that's why this report was authored. I think as council is aware, we're in a bit of a challenging employment market, especially for planners and chief building officials or building officials at any capacity. The market is very competitive. We're in a unique situation where our issues are, I believe, compounded because of our geographic location. We have other partners or stakeholders that have more development opportunities or more opportunities for growth in a larger organization. Plus, the salaries are significantly higher in some of our urban counterparts. So we are in a unique situation where we have 2 fairly significant hurdles to overcome. In discussions with Peter and Megan, we felt that we should start exploring this. This is not something that we invented in North Stormont. I think all of council is aware that this is a model that has been introduced in some of our other rural townships. It will basically lower the threshold for both the educational component and the experience component. We'd like to try and solicit somebody local so we have a long-standing employee. What we're looking for is somebody with the aptitude that we can train and teach what we need them to understand to help our clientele. We want somebody who, more importantly, has the personality that can build those relationships and those trusting relationships with our rural clients, and who has the enthusiasm and who will fit the spirit of what North Stormont stands for. I don't know if Peter wanted to add anything more, but ultimately this would provide us with that avenue. It seems to be working for some of our other counterparts. We, of course, are leveraging our SDG counterparts long-term, and of course, they would have to solicit support from our upper tier council to make sure that that's supported. But ultimately, I believe this is a partnership that will prove successful if council supports this approach.
Peter, did you want to add anything?
Yes, please. Thank you, Deputy Mayor. So just to kind of give a bit more background just on the contract with North Stormont and SCG. So the responsibilities for North Stormont are having frontline staff members for the following tasks: schedule meetings, assist residents with basic requests like what's my zoning, can I build this on the property, assist the residents in filling out the planning applications, assist residents in the municipal severance conditions, and other types of duties. As the CEO had mentioned, right now, I think it's by the time, even if this is filled, it would have been vacant kind of 12 out of 24 months. That's not unique to North Stormont too. Champlain's having the same problem, City of Cornwall, lots of municipalities. And for STG, it's hard for us, or we can't really deliver the service if there's training a junior planner and then they go to Ottawa or Toronto. We have kind of our own internal training, and we built up lots of our staff as well. But if it's out of our control, then we can't kind of put our resource to that and then start over every year. And right now too, the problem is just we're kind of doing both sides. We're doing both the planning side, attending the meetings, and then also meeting the residents, helping fill out the forms, just because of how the job description, as Craig mentioned, is designed. So as Craig said, this would mean more reliance on SCG. And even the budget right now, it's I think we had budgeted, or the municipality had budgeted 20,000 for the year, and we're almost there right now just because of the demand. Like North Stormont is booming, and there's lots of subdivision activity. It's just that with Animals Departure, it's hard to fill that position. And just a couple points, and our other challenges, our application volumes are actually up too. We're up 60% for this year compared to last year. And so it's kind of a struggle to balance that. While also, we still want to support the township if possible. And finally, just in the report, there's 4 options. The option 1, that's what's described in the report. Option 2, we don't recommend that, and that would be hard for us to continue offering the service for a junior planner. Again, as Craig said, most of the resumes were no experience from the GTA, and we'd expect them to leave.
Yeah, we believe there's a fairly high risk we would lose anybody that we hired.
Option 3, you could look at what some of the other municipalities. For example, in Prescott Russell, what happened, UCPR used to do the planning for a lot of municipalities, but then there were, again, a lot of vacancies at the local townships, and the county said, we're not going to do the planning anymore. And then Champlain and all these municipalities have been struggling. They're paying J.L. Richards $240,000 a year to do their planning, and they're still struggling. Option 4 is the other one that is looking at a different model for planning. We had proposed this at County Council last year in terms of having the county deliver the entire service, similar to, let's say, Part 8 for South Nation. If you say septic right away, then they say go to Finch or go to South Nation. So that's an option under number 4. But at least in our current contract, option 1, the recommended option, would fit into the current agreement between North Stormont and SDG. We'd have to confirm just because if there's when in the junior planner, eventually as they started to get more and more experience, they started to do all the reports, and then they leave, and then we're back to doing the reports. So we'd have to make sure we have the support from County Council as well.
Good. Any questions for Craig or Peter? Councillor McDonald?
Just comments, just from working in this business for a long time. It's really important that residents have someone here that they can talk to who has enough familiarity and competence with zoning bylaw specifically. And it's very intricate. So it does require its own position, whether it's our position or shared. I think staff sharing is a great, option 4 is a great option. Especially if we didn't have enough work or enough files or enough duties and tasks for that person, or if that wasn't a good fit. but it sounds like the recommendation to change the job title is probably a good one. It may be possible we can't recruit even at the technician level, but I think it's probably worth a shot. And I think if you get a really competent person, they could grow into additional roles in the future with the municipality and may be able to take report writing off the county's plate. So I think option one is a good option. And perhaps if we can't successfully recruit for that position, we do need to think about sharing that staffing. And also just wanted to thank the county for filling the gap for us. I didn't realize it was 12 out of 24 months that we've been unstaffed. And I don't think our residents have experienced a gap in service, which is a really, really nice thing in a small municipality.
Yeah.
So it just reinforces the importance of these relationships we have between these two agencies. And I know I hear about it from people. If they come in and they can't get an answer from someone in a timely manner at the municipality, it's extremely frustrating. So it's really important. So anyways, thank you. And I support the proposal. I do worry that we may not be able to recruit. And if not, we may have to consider another option at that time.
Any other comments? No. Okay, yeah, again, I like it. It may actually help us, and I think you mentioned this, Craig, in retention. If they're not a designated planner, then the risk of losing them goes down, but they could develop some of the basic skills to be able to support the planning file in an effective way. And as they develop more skill and coaching, et cetera, to be able to support that. I guess the first question is, do we have enough to keep somebody busy full time in the short term while they develop that skills? And to your point, they could start to take on other responsibilities as well. Because if we don't have enough work for them into the future, then option 4 starts to become, to me, a little bit more attractive in terms of sharing off. But any comments on that, Craig?
Well, I'll let Peter correct me, but certainly under our current circumstances with the increased interest in development in North Stormont, I think we have an ample workload that we can keep an individual busy, a technician busy. I also would agree with the statements of council that if we do find the right person for this technician job and they have the aptitude and they have those communication skills that we're looking for, the township and administration will certainly invest in them. So we do have those tools in our HR policy where we can try and support them through increased education. And then in turn, they can provide us with service commitments. So there's always an opportunity to expand that. And if they have those aspirations to become a planner, then we could certainly look at those options to invest in them if they're going to invest their time in us. So Peter, can you correct me or can you confirm that we have enough work to keep a technician busy 35 hours a week? I believe we do.
Yes, I can say when myself or Megan come into the office, we're kind of swamped with, oh, we've been waiting for this or this question and that question. And then just when right now it's very difficult to get back to people in a timely manner if we have our regular duties and some of the basic inquiries aren't being able to be responded to. So yes, there's definitely enough work. The challenge would be for option 4 is also very viable. A lot of municipalities are ended up doing that because just to have that training and local knowledge, they just say, okay, maybe we'll have only 3 days in the office or something like that. And if they're not there, then they go to the county office or they go to the Finch Patrol Garage or South Nation or something like that. So that's a lot of the other counties are moving more towards the option 4, just because again, the lack of staff resources and trying, okay, you come to the township office, here's the package, and then, contact the county over here. So that's definitely an option. It's kind of like what the South Nation does with septic is it's too costly for the township to have all their experts and have every single building official know how to do septic. So they say, okay, everyone just go here, either a central place or multiple locations throughout. So that's, we can certainly look at that too, with support of county council. If council wants to proceed with option 2, what other municipalities are doing with the option 4 is they're just saying, okay, instead of that person being a township employee, they would be at the county and be able to be redeployed if there's not enough work. So if there's the right candidate but not enough work, we could still look at the option 4.
Yeah, and when I thinking about this, I was thinking more about another municipality, partnership with another municipality rather than
Mhm.
going, I've always thought of the counties as being, the top level of expertise. Therefore, the cost is going to be higher, but you're getting that level of expertise. Whereas if we're talking about a lesser amount of less difficult work, it would make sense almost to share between a municipality. But again, I like the approach right now. I don't want to create something that's unnecessary. If we've got enough work, it seems like the right way to go. Just from a costing perspective, and I don't know that I've ever really understood whether or not we charge through building permits or however we charge back for our junior planner. Like, what's the cost? Is there any significant cost difference to having an ANMAL versus a technician in terms of cost recovery or chargeability of time, et cetera?
Through the chair, that's an interesting question because we don't really have a pay grid category because we've never had a building tech or a planning technician. I would assume that there would be a pay band created for that new job description.
Sorry, no, I meant more. Did we charge for ANMAL's time? Did people have to pay for directly or indirectly for ANMAL's time when she worked on a file?
So we, and working with the junior planner, kind of developed a fee schedule. So when people put the applications in, that's the time they would pay. But if it was just residents doing inquiries, then it was covered through the levy.
Okay.
Just a general kind of work.
And
And that's the approach most municipalities. In South Dundas, we used to do the opposite. And then we're sending bills for $50 or for $56, and then it just became unwieldy. So it's built into the fees.
Okay, and the fee schedule doesn't presume that the individual who's working on the file is necessarily got all of the credentials, like a technician can work versus a junior planner who may have different credentials. It doesn't matter. We'll work the file regardless, and if they need expertise, they can come to you, Peter, to fulfill whatever the deliverable is on against that fee that we're charging.
Yes, the fee schedule's set based on trying to achieve some level of cost recovery. Most municipalities don't do full cost recovery planning. And also in line with other municipalities. And it would include both the township staff fee and the extra fee coming from the county, as I don't think that's rebuild. It's just a general bill we send. We don't bill every single file separately. We just have a general bill for planning. So the planning budget is the consultant, the staff, and then whatever the fees is taken out of that.
Councillor McDonald.
Maybe I can clarify, like if we were collecting a fee for a minor variance application, we'd still collect $400 for that application, whether it's a technician or a planner, I think is
Yeah.
sort of the idea. And yeah, I don't think the cost recovery model changes based on the type of staff. So that's
Yeah.
a good question though, because we do want to maintain a certain level of cost recovery on that program.
Yeah.
Although a lot of the frontline stuff is free because we want to offer pre-consultation for folks, but I think we're fine with that. And then, yeah, I don't think it'll affect the cost recovery. So that's good.
Yeah,
And it
I've-
should lower our bill from the county, which is also
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, through the deputy mayor. So the option 4 is where they just pay the fee directly to the county instead, and that's sort of delivered like that. So, but option 2 is the township collects a fee, and then we just send the bill and kind of try to average it out based on the number of applications. So some are more expensive, some are less, but the fee is set at an average.
Great. Okay, no, it looks like a good model, and we just want to be aware of all the implications, financial, et cetera, as it plays itself out. But thank you for putting that together, and thank you for the collaboration. Any other questions or comments? All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Moving on to bylaws.
Be it resolved that bylaw number 24-2025 being a bylaw to adopt policy number REC 01-2025, the Recreation Hall rental policy for the Township of North Stormont be read a first, second, and third time, passed, signed, and sealed in open council this 8th day of April 2025, moved by Councillor Shane, seconded by Councillor McDonald.
Any additional questions for Pierre? No, all in favor? Carried. Thank you. Thank you, Peter. Correspondence. So we have a number of elements or a number of things there. Anybody? Well, we'll read the motion first, I guess.
Okay. Be it resolved that the correspondence as listed as items 11.1 to 11.4 on the agenda be received. Moved by Counselor McDonald, second by Counselor Bajelli.
Any questions or comments on the correspondence? No, all in favor? Carried. Thank you. And motions, notice of motions, no petitions at this time. Unfinished business. We have our fourth quarter variance report. Madam Deputy Clerk.
That the Council of the Township of North Stormont reconsiders the original request to accept report FIN 03-2024 regarding the fourth quarter variance report ending December 31st, 2024 from the treasurer as presented for information purposes at the March 25th regular meeting of council. Moved by Counselor Bajelli, second by Counselor Shane.
I know Kim is online. Kim, do you have any comments or anything you'd like to share?
Yes, through you, Chair. You're looking at the budgeted variance. It looks like 5.5 million. So it looks like a huge deficit as this, because the tax levy was 3.6, which we needed. And now we're saying it's looking at 5.5, which is not what we're needing. What has happened is we put amortization in there, which is an unbudgeted item, but there has been no transfers from capital to fixed assets as of this report. So it will probably come out pretty close to zero. It might show a small surplus, but at this point, I'm not really concerned about anything. It's the amortization which has thrown things off. So next year, I think I will present this earlier without the amortization. It gives council a better idea of where we're at. But honestly, I have no real concerns about anything.
Okay, any questions for Kim? No, again, that's kind of what threw me at first was the amortization on the top
Yes.
report. I thought, oh man, we're
Yes.
under revenue and way over on expenses and stuff, and it made me a little concerned. But yeah,
And
it'd
through
be
the
good if-
chair,
Go ahead.
I hope you like the fact I tried to make the high level components stick out to you, the ones that were over and under and things like that. In future, though, I really do not care for the percentage differences, because some of the percentages you might be 400% over, and that equates to like $400, whereas some of the percentages might be 1% and it equates to 28,000. So in future, I'm going to try to go for dollar figures. I think that's more realistic for what council can see, because percentages can be skewed based on the total amount of the budget versus the total received or not received. So that's the way I'm going to go. I'm going to restructure this a little bit. The March one will be coming probably for the end of April. I'm sorry this one was late, but probably coming for the end of April. So you get to see where March 31st is standing out for 2025. But that variance report is very kind of, I'm going to say, it doesn't provide a lot of information because the major contracts and things like that have not occurred yet. So it's a very, like, you've got a whole bunch of budget there, but you have not a lot of expenses there because the tenders and things haven't come close. But it will be provided to council for the next meeting because I did promise quarterly variance reports, so it will be coming.
Okay, thank you. And to be honest, I mostly read your notes because I think you pulled out the things that are most notable, and whatever the appropriate explanation is around there is what helps me feel comfortable that we're on. Because to your point, it can, just based on timing, it can be very difficult for us to absorb all of this information and understand what's going in and out and what are the big ticket items as well. So, any other questions? Nick? Councillor Bajelli?
No, just a comment, and I really do appreciate the high level bullet points that do kind of do that. The one thing that with the percentages, and you were mentioning that the values, the one benefit of that is when we do have a document that's 40 or 50 pages, it does tend to focus our eyes onto that. Now, that doesn't mean we're gonna be like, oh my goodness, we're 450. At that point, it's just a high level flag then to look at it. So again, happy to see what you're gonna come up with to try to keep that same spirit where we are able to identify, not if just even something is over budget, but on the flip side, if we're budgeting and we're coming in at 0% of it, why are we budgeting for that? So it's a nice tool to have, but happy to see you present in any which way as long as we can see that information.
Through the chair, the variance reports, the actual departmental reports are through our financial system, so they will still show the percentage differences. The main budget summary on that first page will show dollars, not percentages. So you will have both. But there's some of the ones I've looked at that are 400% over that I have not commented in my narrative because they're $300, $400. And really, it's not a big deal, but council can still see the differences in percentages on the detail. But that summary report will now show dollars versus percentage, okay?
Yep. Great. If there's no other questions or comments, then all in favor of accepting the report? Carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
No new business. We have our meetings coming up, April 10th, Court of Revision, April 15th, Committee of the Whole, at 6 p.m., April 22nd, regular council meeting, and then April 23rd is Committee of Adjustments again. Any questions or comments? No. Okay, we have our grand opening event happening, and we're including the daycare in that on May 1st, so looking forward to that. And for anybody who wants to look at the details, there's a lot going on given Easter in the recreation groups. So thank you again to our rec director for adding that. And I think you'll catch a lot of those things on Facebook as well. So any closing comments from anybody? We don't have a closed session, so we'll ask for the ratification confirmation bylaw, please.
Be it resolved that bylaw number 25-2025 being a bylaw to adopt, confirm, and ratify council's actions at its regular meeting of April 8th, 2025, be read a first, second, and third time, passed, signed, and sealed in open council this 8th day of April 2025. Moved by Councillor Shane, seconded by Councillor Bajelli.
All in favor? Carried. And adjournment.
Be it resolved that this regular meeting adjourn at 6:41 p.m. Moved by Councillor Shane, seconded by Councillor McDonald.
All in favor? Carried.